And with just days before Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh is set to be confirmed by the Senate, and Democrats are pulling no punches to block his appointment. But as One America's Pearson Sharp explains, their tactics of using an unverified last-minute accusation from decades ago may have a few holes in it.
The media's crusade against Brett Kavanaugh is building steam days before the Senate votes on his confirmation. But behind all the smoke and mirrors, there doesn't appear to be any solid case against the Supreme Court nominee. Kavanaugh has denied all allegations in the strongest possible terms and announced he's willing to go before the Senate Judiciary Committee to answer any questions necessary to put these unproven claims to rest. But coming out of nowhere, with a lawsuit based on accusations from 36 years ago, who exactly is Kavanaugh's accuser, Christine Ford? And why did she wait until just days before Kavanaugh's confirmation to come forward with her story, when she's had the last several decades to speak up?
It is an accusation which the ranking member of the Committee of Jurisdiction has known about for at least 6 weeks. Known about for 6 weeks. Yet chose to keep secret until the 11th hour.
Well, after a little digging, it appears Christine Ford may just have an axe to grind with Kavanaugh, but it has nothing to do with anything that happened between them in high school. Ford is a professor of psychology and statistics at Palo Alto University, who apparently goes out of her way to take a stand against President Trump and his administration. Back in January of 2017, she wore a version of a pink hat used by feminist activists as she marched in opposition to proposed policies of the president. But her quarrel with Kavanaugh may go much deeper than his simply being the chosen nominee of President Trump. Facts are now emerging that Brett Kavanaugh's mother, Martha, was a district judge in Maryland in 1996. Astonishingly, she also happened to preside over a foreclosure case against none other than Christine Ford's parents. As it turned out, Martha Kavanaugh ruled against Ford's parents on a property in Potomac, Maryland, though it never resulted in the seizure of the property. Yet this potential conflict of interest is going totally unmentioned by the media, who seem more concerned about playing up unverified charges than looking into a possible case of revenge. Christine Ford's attorney, Deborah Katz, is also a major donor to the Democrat Party and has called people who work for President Trump miscreants. Katz says those who work for the president are worse than deplorables and has made a career out of dismissing sexual harassment cases against liberal politicians. In fact, Deborah Katz, the woman who is supposedly a champion of women's rights, downplayed and ignored complaints against former President Bill Clinton and even Minnesota Senator Al Franken. Katz claimed that Paula Jones, who was sexually assaulted by Clinton, had a very weak case against him, and that the situation lasted only 10 to 12 minutes, and that she suffered no repercussions in the workplace. Katz even went as far as to say that if a woman came to her with a similar case, she would tell her that it's unfair, but, quote, you don't have a case. A far cry from Katz's current accusations against Brett Kavanaugh. Because for Democrats, it doesn't actually appear to be about Kavanaugh's character. The judge has been praised on all sides from everyone who knows him personally as having a sterling reputation. That includes his former classmates, his friends, and even the mothers of the young girls he coaches on his daughter's basketball team. And if witness testimony is all that matters, then Mark Judge, who was named in Christine Ford's letter and was actually with Brett Kavanaugh on the night in question, should be able to settle the case. Judge called the accusations absolutely nuts and says he never saw Kavanaugh act that way. In fact, Christine Ford herself admits she has a hazy recollection of the night and has given conflicting reports of the event to her therapist and even stated she doesn't remember the incident specifically. And finally, Kavanaugh has been through half a dozen rounds of vetting by the Federal Bureau of Investigation itself.
Judge Kavanaugh is one of the finest people that I've ever known. He's an outstanding intellect, an outstanding judge, respected by everybody, never had even a little blemish on his record. The FBI has, I think, gone through a process 6 times with him over the years where he went to higher and higher positions. He is somebody very special.
If none of this has turned up anything against him in the last 36 years, it seems suspicious at best that these accusations are emerging mere days before his confirmation, especially when Senator Dianne Feinstein was aware of them for the last several months.
Now Now they choose to introduce this allegation, not through the standard bipartisan process, not by advising the Judiciary Committee colleagues and committee staff through proper channels, but by leaking it to the press.
And at worst, it seems like a cheap and transparent move by the Democrats, purely designed to wipe out his chances of making it to the Supreme Court. From Brett Kavanaugh to Congressman Duncan Hunter and even to Judge Roy Moore, this is becoming a favorite tactic of the left. Wait until the last minute to release salacious accusations, destroy the candidate's reputation, and then drop the whole thing as soon as the race is over and they've won the seat. If the Democrats were truly concerned about his character, then this mountain of evidence supporting Kavanaugh would be getting more coverage. Or the Democrats would be listening to their own colleagues, including 2 liberal Supreme Court justices, as well as Supreme Court attorney and self-described feminist Lisa Blatt.
At the end of the day, I enthusiastically support Judge Kavanaugh, and I am proud to introduce him because he is unquestionably qualified by his extraordinary intellect, experience, and temperament, and he does easily fit within the mainstream of legal thought.
Instead, headlines are focused on the single, unsubstantiated claim from a woman who is clearly biased against Trump and who has an obvious motive against Kavanaugh. If unverified character assassinations are permitted to determine who our political leaders are, it's only a matter of time before anyone may be accused of any act, no matter how long ago, and be removed from office without any proof required. As Americans, we owe it to ourselves, our country, and our justice system to put politics aside and support the candidate who best fits the job, no matter the party he represents.